Hello and welcome. You're watching Candid Conversation with me, Nancy Kohli. Today we have a very special guest, Marshal of the Air Force, Arjan Singh. He was Chief of the Air Staff from 1964 to 1969. He was awarded the Padma Vibhushan in 1965. He also became the first Air Chief Marshal of the Indian Air Force. After having served the nation, he became ambassador to different countries. He was also the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi. Today, he's 96 years old. Let's get started talking to him. Hello and welcome, Marshal of the Air Force, Arjan Singh. Marshal, you were the Chief of the Air Staff and you carried the responsibility of leading the Air Force with sincerity and dedication. Tell us about that.
Well, I think Chief of Air Staff just happened. I appeared in the competition in 1938. It was all in a competition. And it took two people. One was the son of Maharaja Patala, and other was myself from a very small village nearby. So that is how it happened. Only two people were taken, no more at that time. And then we both went for training. Training at that time for the Air Force was only in England. It's a place called the Royal Air Force called Cranwell. It's not far from London, about 100 miles from London. So that is there for 2 years. When the war started, they passed us early because they were getting short of pilots. And Britain had a lot of casualties, Battle of Britain and so on. But the Indian government asked us to come back. Okay. So we came back when the war was building up against the Japanese. As you know, Japanese started joined the Germans later on. And ultimately, we were able to fight them on the Burma front. That was the only front at that time.
In 1964, when you took over as the Chief of the Air Staff, now that must have been a defining moment in your career.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how I was going to become the Chief of Air Staff. But I think about a year before that, it became clear that I had a lot of operational experience against the Japanese. And I somehow, the government must have found at the senior level in our case, they weren't keeping up with flying. See, for a Chief of Air Staff, it's very important to be a flyer. I was pilot. You see, those are the ones that flew, and the aircraft there. Training was a different thing, small, light aircraft.
Your services and contribution is immense, and the government of India conferred you the rank of the Marshal of the Air Force in recognition of your services.
Well, I can't explain. It just happened. I think I was shocked, I think. Okay. And my wife was very pleased. It just happened. Well, I think there's one point which the government might have considered, that amongst the senior people, at that time we all about the same seniority. I was the only man who taken part in World War II. And for a whole year, from Imphal over Burma. So that might have been one of the considerations. Okay. I don't know. But I didn't mind it at all.
You're also an epitome of a military leader. You were a great morale booster to the officers and men of the Air Force.
See, I had taken over in 1964. Yes. And the air war just happened. See, General Chaudhary, at that time the army commander, had gone to Srinagar, and he came back, and he came straight to Wagyu, and he said, unless the Air Force came in, the military, the Pakistan military, was so strong in the area called Chamjorga. It's near Jammu, near Akhnur, and near Punch, all that area. He said, And I told him, I said, I can't start the air war. Because once the air war starts, see, in the army you go by kilometers. In the Air Force you go by hundreds of kilometers. So it's quite a different, very widespread. Once the Air Force comes in, it's a real war has started. So and the defense minister was a man called Y.B. Chauhan, Maratha. Chaudhry and I had gone to him, and he made it. Marathas are great warriors, isn't it? And it didn't take more than about 3 or 4 minutes. And he said, attack. I said, we attacked. I told him one or two things. One was that it was dusk. See, darkness was coming in. And I said, we might hit our own troops and our own tanks. And secondly, that secondly, I think we are able to take over, but some of the attack will be not very accurate. And he accepted all this, and he said, go ahead. And we had, how many, 22 aircraft? Something like that, 22. And I think the mistake I made was Vampire. Now, Vampire is a very slow aircraft. And we had the other aircraft, but we put the whole lot. I think that was my mistake, because what you say. Anyway, see, in wartime, a lot of mistakes take place. And you forget about them and you just carry on. And this was particularly vulnerable because if you now look at the map, Georgia, all the Air Force was in Sargodha. Now Sargodha is just probably maybe 70 miles from there. So they had the aircraft called Sabre. Sabres given by the Americans to fight against the Russians, and instead of fighting us. And America did not even condemn it once, that they're using the aircraft which they have given them for different purposes. Anyway, at that time probably I think Americans had no control over it. But this happened. And luckily we had net aircraft, not a very small aircraft. The main advantage in the net aircraft is it's so small. It can't be easily seen by radar. Okay. And also for an airman, I would order like an aircraft which is shorter circuit. See, if somebody have a longer circuit and you can do a shorter circuit, then you catch him somewhere to catch him. See, that's all the airmen will tell you. In air fighting, the shorter the circuit, the more advantage you have to have the better of the other man.
I want to talk about your tenure on the Burma front during World War II. That was an outstanding landmark of your career.
Well, actually, in Burma Operation, we expected much better air power, air fighting from the Japanese. But amazingly, they didn't care. We almost had a clear hand. So it became, in our case, sport of the army. So army could hit up to Mende, just short of Rangoon, and wherever they were. So that's the advantage we have. Somehow, the planning by the Japanese about the air war in Burma was not very good. For the ground troops, they said that whatever you capture in the valley will be yours. You can have it. But you can't fight a war like that. Incidentally, they never reached the valley. They reached the valley. From valley, they did shelling onto the airport where we were operating. We could do, and we attacked the gun, and that was the end of it. So this, see, it's quite different. I think Japanese somehow, they were fighting for the king. Japanese will give their lives for the king. Now the whole thing is, well, the king is not going to fight for you there. So this, you've got to have the people in the front. And they didn't have enough logistics. The logistics is very important. I mean, what do you, if you don't have fuel, you don't have armament, you don't have bombs, so what do you do? All these things, they didn't know how to coordinate the logistics with the operation side. No, we had a wonderful time, I think, fighting them.
Sir, your leadership and gallantry in the air, you were awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross. Your leadership and gallantry in the air, I want to talk about that now.
It was in the jungle or beyond Imphal. And our squadron was there. So he called a few people. See, he himself, and he was the Supreme Commander, Mountbatten, at the age of 42. Young man. So first of all, he climbed up the Canberra, the Hunter aircraft. Sorry, not the Hunter, the wing of the aircraft, and gave a speech. Then he called me, and he said, "Amma, awarded the DFC."
We are in conversation with the Marshal of the Air Force, Arjan Singh. It's time for a short break.
भारत संचार निगम लिमिटेड यानी बीएसएनएल ने अपनी मोबाइल सेवा पर देश भर में रोमिंग फ्री कर दी है। पूरी फैमिली के रिश्तों को जोड़ दिया है। अब ज्यादा सिम कार्ड और ज्यादा हैंडसेट से मिला छुटकारा। इनकमिंग के चलते देश भर में रोमिंग फ्री, जितनी चाहे बातें करो। One nation, one number. To join BSNL, dial toll-free number 1800-180-1503. BSNL, हिंदुस्तान बोल रहा है।
ये है मास्टर राजू, पढ़ाई लिखाई में कमजोर और खेल कूद के मैदान में पीछे। राजू की कमजोरी की वजह है उसका भोजन। राजू की मां खाने में इस्तेमाल करती है साधारण नमक। डॉक्टर बताते हैं कि आयोडीन की कमी से बच्चे के शारीरिक और मानसिक विकास में बाधा पहुंचती है। इसलिए आज ही अपनाएं शक्ति और बुद्धि का रक्षक आयोडीन नमक। एक व्यक्ति के लिए आयोडीन नमक का मासिक खर्च 1 कप चाय की कीमत से भी कम बैठता है।
सवारी जिंदगी चुटकी भर नमक, आयोडीन नमक।
Welcome back. You're watching Candid Conversation. Today our guest is Marshal of the Air Force, Arjan Singh. So during your tenure, the Air Force was equipped with new generation supersonic aircraft, and those are still in service today. So, during your tenure, the Air Force was equipped with all these aircrafts and the tactical transport aircraft. Tell us more about that, sir.
Whatever the Air Force recommended, government always agreed. Because even at that time, Air Force of the government realized that Air Force is very important. So that's the first one had no difficulty at all. And we first went to Russia. I was a member of the selection team. I was the head of the selection. We had 2 or 3 test trials like. I forgot their name. And one was Dutt. He was quite famous Air Force flyer. Anyway, we turned down the Russian aircraft that time because they didn't come up to our requirement. Then I went along with the defense minister to America, also head of the team, selection team. And they offered us a thing called F5, second class. So in America, and he had told me, unless you recommend, he wouldn't accept it. See, Maratha was, he was a great defense secretary. And incidentally, his Sharad Pawar and so on called me 3 or 4 years ago. He died about 20 years ago to be the guest of honor in his Rambi in Bombay. And he had a huge gathering behind the Gateway of India for something like, were you there? No. Something like 2,000 people. And first thing he did was he sent a check to me of 5 lakhs. And I told him, I said, I never accept any monetary thing. So I returned the 5 lakhs. And I said, use it for the purposes for which Jawan lived. And they used it and they called me the guest of honor. So that's what happened.
So you've had very fine innings. Even after your retirement, you continued serving the nation in the capacity of ambassador to different countries, also the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi. Tell us about your experience, about your stint as ambassadors, and as well as about the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi.
Well, that's actually it's. See, India was trading in a very round, kind of. In these posts, diplomatic posts, mostly you got to get on with the people of that country. You can't get down to drinking with all your colleagues, other diplomats, other ambassadors, and so on. So luckily I didn't drink very much. I may take a little sherry or something, you see. But I haven't, up to now, I haven't taken whiskey. They get surprised, I think. How can you do without it? And main thing is that when you are a diplomat, you sent to a country, you got to know people of their country. The big fault our people have is they get to know all the other ambassadors, maybe 30 or 40 or 50 ambassadors, have their parties and so on. They have their, I saw some of them having 2 horses each. They used to ride every day. See, that is a job you can do in your own country. When you go to their country, you got to know them. See, why are you posted there? Because to know them, and any problem you put to them, not to somebody else. No, I never mix very much with the diplomats. I mix with the, therefore in Switzerland particularly, Switzerland, they're very reserved people. They like talking business. Our people are used to hear politicians, they used to giving lectures. They think everybody is prepared to listen to them. Nobody bothers about that. What you tell them about their country or your country, they want it. Right. So I never had the habit of talking about Switzerland. As a Lieutenant Governor here, I used to leave the house in the morning at 9 o'clock. And I didn't know Delhi and Delhi area. Now I asked you how many villages are in Delhi state. Something like 300 villages. And some of them were almost half towns. When I was Lieutenant Governor, I used to go to some of the villages, some of the schools, some of the places from 9 to 11. And after that I go to the office. And I used to live in there. I lived there, partly in the government house. I used to work in Old Delhi. And Old Delhi was, they changed offices, the new offices are built. I lived in the old offices. I used to have my own food there. I wasn't a civil servant. I wasn't an army, because Air Force thinking is quite different. You accept other people's opinions like that, and you learn a lot.
So I want to talk about your meritorious services for the conduct, your meritorious services in the conduct of the 1965 war serve. You were awarded, you were honored with the Padma Vibhushan for that. Let's talk about your meritorious services in the conduct of the 1965.
If you won it, they had to give something to commanders, whether they deserved it or not. I was one of them. It's not. See, you see the overall effect as to what effect you achieve at the end. If it's successful war, the government is forced to give a award to you. And I got involved in that, that's all.
Sir, I want to talk about your life as a student, sir, your student life, and then how did you come about joining the Air Force, sir? Tell us more about that.
I had to go to school at about a mile and a half away, walking. And after that, I went to my mama, who was in now it's called Sahiwal. So from there I went to high school. In high school Montgomery. High school Montgomery, amazing was, all my friends over there, one of them is still alive, he's in Chandigarh. His name is Dr. Burma Singh. He became a justice of Haryana, of Punjab and Haryana. That's one. So it was one of those very first class. After that I went to Government College Lahore. And Government College Lahore, they never took anybody less than first division. And I just managed to, by hook or crook, I think, I managed it to get by a couple of marks. And after that well, in my service, I have never asked for a favor. Everything is education and competition. At that time also you had to compete to get anywhere, even to get it. And I think they will know that you are competing at every rank. After a certain rank now, you are again competing because there is a selection. And selection takes place with all your record. The board decides whether to take 4 reports or 5 reports or 3 reports and so on. But it's done by somebody else. You have no say.
You were watching a Candid Conversation, and our guest today was Marshal of the Air Force, Arjan Singh. Thanks very much for being with us.